Introduce the subject. Today we are here to announce the Middle East Africa Digital Transformation Summit that is going to take place here in Kampala from the 25th to the 27th of June 2025. We have a detailed press release which we are going to issue. But I think in the interest of time, I may not read it verbatim. I am just going to highlight a few points from the release, and I hope the media center will give you copies, and then the details of the summit you can get from the written press release. And we are also here to receive any questions and clarification or comments you may want to raise so that we all understand the subject matter that we are discussing. Now, the Middle East Africa Digital Transformation Summit, that we abbreviate as MEA-DTS, is an annual forum of key actors from the Middle East and also Africa, geared towards exploring transformative digital technologies to drive socio-economic growth and development. That summarizes what the summit is all about. So basically, we are speaking about a summit that brings together stakeholders from the Africa region and the Middle East sub-region come together and discuss issues of technological development. We all appreciate that if you look at the global community, there is a huge digital divide between what I would term as the global north and the global south. And we've been trying to see how to bridge that gap. There is a lot of technological advancement in the global north, whereas the global south is also trying to embrace technologies, the new technologies, and trying to make strides to catch up with the rest of the world and to close that gap. So within the South-South collaboration, we have interventions, we have events, we have arrangements where we meet and be able to compare notes, learn from each other, and build each other. So in this case, this summit is bringing together Africa and the Middle East, these communities being in the global south, to discuss issues of digital technologies and trying to explore how we can transform our communities using digital technologies. And definitely all of us appreciate that technology now plays a central role in transforming societies, and therefore this is a very key summit that we are going to hold, and we do hope that we shall get many benefits accruing from this kind of event. So like I have said, this summit will be held here in Kampala in June from 25th to 27th, and the HE, the President, Museveni, will be the chief host. And the theme for this summit is driving digital transformation for a connected and inclusive MEA region. MEA means Middle East and Africa region. So basically we are discussing how to address the question of digital transformation within these two regions of the world. The objectives of this summit that will be held here for the first time in Uganda are: one, bring together policymakers, industry leaders, innovators, and investors to collaborate on driving digital transformation across various sectors. Number two, showcasing advanced digital solutions and fine-tech innovations that can effectively address the socio-economic challenges in the Middle East Africa region. Number 3, discussing strategies and solutions to enhance financial inclusion and ensure access to financial services for underserved populations in these 2 regions, as well as highlighting the role of digital technologies in fostering economic growth, improving public services, and enhancing overall quality of life. And lastly, fast-tracking investment and innovation support through collaboration among partners across Africa, the Middle East, and beyond. So basically, these will be the key objectives of this important summit, and we anticipate that the summit will yield a lot of impactful outcomes, which include, among others, a faster and inclusive economic growth with higher GDP per capita in our 2 regions, enhanced innovations to boost revenue mobilization, improved export volumes through enhanced e-commerce, enhanced innovations for clean and renewable energy, improved access to education and health services, improved dynamic and more enabling policy framework, broader and more functional partnerships for digital transformation, as well as illuminating trade, investment, and tourism in Uganda. Just before I came here to third-party vendors, if I just provide the definition. And what we see in the world, that now you can employ people, you can subcontract and outsource services from third-party vendors, and these jobs can be done even virtually without you physically relocating to that community. And we are now taking advantage of the demography, of the geography, of the technological advancements, especially when you compare the global north and the global south. You find, because of the demographic transition in the global north, you have an aging population and fewer young people, and yet there are industries and factories being developed in that part of the world, and they need the workforce, and Africa provides that workforce. And therefore the BPO policy that we have been launching addresses the question of creating job and employment opportunities for our young people, especially what we call the offshore BPO opportunities. The measures, the steps we are taking to make sure that these things happen. For instance, internet, although it is still a bit expensive, but in the last 10 years, it has considerably come down in terms of cost. But we still want the cost to reduce much further for anybody to transact digitally. The other day we announced how we had cut the cost of the government-provided internet from $70 per megabyte per second, I think per month, to 35. 35 still remains high, but moving from 70 to 35 is phenomenal, because the average cost nationally is 45. So meaning the government-provided internet is cheaper than the national average. And we are doing all it takes to even bring it further down. Like we are examining all the taxes related with the data and the internet, so that we remove them. Even by increasing the uptake, if we extend fiber so that many Ugandans are hooked on the internet, that in itself will bring down the cost. We are collaborating with the East African community countries to harmonize our policies, our interventions, and to connect the NPI to all the countries. For instance, when we announced the reduction, we had connected our system to that of Tanzania, and that contributed the reduction. And we are trying to hook it to all the countries neighboring. So we are doing everything possible to bring down the cost, and many other measures. even okubanjulira olukiiko olukungaana olugenda kubeerawo olugata region eya Africa n'eya Middle East ey'Abawarabu. Tujja kuba tuteesa ku nsonga ez'ebya kalimagezi. Kati olukungaana luno lwe tuyise Middle East Africa Digital Transformation Summit ey'e2025. Kati tuli ebitongole bisatu ebitegeka olukiiko. Waliwo ministry yaffe eya ICT n'okulungamya eggwanga. Tulina aba COMESA Business Council, ate omukulu we COMESA ali wano. Waliwo ne kitongole kituyita Hi-Pipo. So kati olukungaana luno olugenda kubeerawo mu mwezi ogw'omukaaga omwaka guno, ennaku 25 okutuuka 27 mu Juni. Kati ffe balutegeka ministry ya ICT, COMESA Business Council ne Hi-Pipo, ebitongole bisatu byebitegeka. Kati President Yoweri Museveni yagenda kubeera omugenyi omukulu mu kugulawo olukungaana luno. Ate olukungaana lukwata tujja kuba tuteesa ku nsonga z'ebyakalimagezi, engeri gye tusobola kukozesa ebyakalimagezi okuleeta enkulaakulana mu bifo byaffe erya Africa ne Middle East. Kubanga ffenna tukimanyi ebyakalimagezi byebitambuza enkulaakulana mu nsi yonna. Ate amawanga agali nga America, ga Europe, gatambula olugendo lunene. Naffe abaddugavu aba Africa n'ensi endala nga Asia, naffe tugezaako okulaba nti erya tekinologiya tubiteekamu amaanyi, kubanga bye bisobola okututuusa mu biseera ebirungi eby'omu maaso. So guno omukisa okulaba nti tujja kuba ffe aba Uganda tuhostinga olukungaana luno bwe lugenda kusooka okulaba nti Uganda yekyaza abagenyi n'okukyaza olukiiko ogwa summit eno okukwata ku byakalimagezi. Ate twagala kwebaza aba Hi-Pipo n'aba COMESA okukwatagana ne gavumenti ya Uganda n'okuteekamu obwesigwa nti Uganda esobola. Kati ensonga lwaki tubayise abamawulire, tujja kuba tukolagana nammwe okulaba nti tutegeeza bannayuganda ku nsonga y'olukiiko, kubanga tugenda kuba tukiikako bintu bikulu ebigenda kutwala Uganda omu maaso by'enkulaakulana. Mwebale nnyo, mwebale ddala. I am improving.
Transformation Summit in collaboration with the Ministry of ICT and National Guidance here in Uganda, as well as our partner Hi-Pipo. So basically, by the end of the day, what we are trying to look at is to say, how do we promote economic growth through digital initiatives. There was a question regarding the confirmations. So we are sending out invitations, but as of today, all the countries in the Middle East have confirmed, and as for COMESA, we've got 21 countries which have confirmed as of now. But we expect that by the end of maybe this week or next week, we'll have all the countries confirmed. So ideally, as you know, COMESA is a common market for Eastern and Trade Africa. So our aim is to promote trade within the region. And what we're trying to do also is want to achieve how best do we make sure that services are affordable, but also they reach everyone. As our key role is, in as far as we are concerned, is to do with regional economic integration. So as the minister highlighted, one of the aspects is on e-payments. As you know today, most of the people, when it comes to payments across the borders, some they use cash, but we are trying to come up with a digital payment platform for the region that will enable traders to pay easily across the region. Not only that, we also add an e-commerce platform where traders can check market information, like for instance, maybe you want to buy some cheaper fertilizer, for instance, in Uganda. So you check all the suppliers. If you are satisfied, you are going to pay through our COMESA integrated payments platform. So by the end of the day, we are looking at aspects like, for instance, interoperability. How do I easily pay maybe even on mobile money, I pay money from here in Uganda, maybe to a bank in Zambia. That's number one, interoperability. Number two, we are looking at affordability. Through digital transformation, how are services going to be affordable? Today, if I'm going to send the money maybe from one country into another, you pay maybe as high as maybe $100 or even more than that, depending on the value of the transaction. But now what we're saying is, how can we come up with initiatives that will bring down the cost of transaction? The other aspect is about access to market information, that will be done through digital transformation. So in the interest of time, let me stop there for now. Thank you.
Honorable Minister, we thank you so much for making time, and we thank the Minister of ICT and National Guidance that you lead for accepting to champion this initiative. When I was growing up, I was always thinking that the tallest minister was the Prime Minister. So sometimes I want to call you Right Honorable Minister, and I remember that you are our patron of Minister of ICT and National Guidance. Maybe you'll be our next Prime Minister.
May God hear your words.
Yeah, but in the interest of the media and everyone that is watching from Uganda, Africa, and the Middle East, first of all, allow me to thank you, and also, again, apologize to all of you for keeping you here for so long. Please take our apologies as very genuine. We were only waiting for the right time that was set by God. But from a Hi-Pipo perspective, where we talk about things like including everyone, and where every day of our lives we speak to a slogan of maximizing the digital dividend, I am happy to share with you a story of about 18 years ago, just 2 years after Hi-Pipo was born. We made 20 years this January. You should clap for us. Yeah. Thank you. But I remember a friend of mine had a sister who studied in Bali, and whenever he had to send, I don't know whether many of you are old enough to remember scratch cards, but we used them for many times for Mango and all the other telecom networks. So he could buy a scratch card of 20,000 shillings, and then he had a friend who was an agent, at that time selling agent in Bali. So he could read the number on the scratch card, and as such send 20,000 shillings to the agent. And the sister could always receive a maximum of 14,000 shillings, 6,000 being taxed, because the agent has to sell the money, the airtime in bits and pieces. Today, when we're working with COMESA, especially with COMESA Business Council, we work in more than 21 countries in Africa, and specifically in the COMESA region. And wherever we travel, I don't need to travel with a card or a checkbook to be able to make a payment. Rather, I am able to seamlessly use my mobile money account, whatever network I have, to pay anyone around in their local currency. Of course, it's still very expensive and it has some hurdles. But like we've been speaking to data, I remember in 2009 when I was teaching in Makerere, the only way we could afford the internet was to sleep in the computer labs in Makerere and use the fast internet after 11 p.m. in the night. By that time, we used to only have access to what they call dongles, or what you call modems, when you have a laptop. So you had to have two devices before you have internet. And the dongle was costing an estimate of about 300,000 shillings. And then a gigabyte of internet there by that time was at a minimum of 80,000 shillings. Today, the market has solutions that go as low as 2,500 shillings, but that can get lower, like as the Honorable Minister has mentioned. So when we come here to speak about the Middle East and Africa Digital Transformation Summit, we are speaking about creating interoperable synergies. There is creating synergies that don't connect seamlessly, but there is also where you have interoperability as a rail for ensuring that the synergies are automated, leveraging tools like AI, what we call artificial intelligence, of course machine learning, cryptography, blockchain and the likes, to ensure that we build interconnected communities and economies that help each one of us maximize our digital dividend. In essence, as I conclude, we are speaking to saying that things like you've seen growing, like mobile journalism. I am sure all of you here have devices that you can carry, whether it's a camera or a phone, but we can effectively run news by using a mobile phone of any nature today. Part of that enablement has been mainly part of a contribution of the Ministry of ICT and National Governance in Uganda, but also as Hi-Pipo, we brag so much for championing the advocacy for inclusive connectivity. So when we are speaking seamless connectivity and interoperability, we are convening for the Middle East and Africa Digital Transformation Summit in Uganda for the first time to ensure that we collaborate on building seamless interoperable economies that allow us, among other benefits, to even travel to any of the Middle East and Africa Digital Transformation participants without needing to have a visa or receiving a visa on arrival, but also ensuring that if I am in Lusaka, if I'm in Lilongwe, and I'm using my Ugandan line to call, and someone calls me today, the status is that when I'm in Zambia and I'm using my Ugandan line, for whichever call I receive, I have to pay a minimum of 2,500 shillings and up to 4,500 shillings depending on the time zone. We want to come to a situation where all of us that are citizens to the region that actually has more than 3 billion people are able to seamlessly connect and affordably trade. For a layperson that is in Lilongwe, that is in Nakapiripiriti, or wherever they are in the marketplace, whoever is investing in buying a mobile device like a smartphone, like Hon.Baryomunsi said, our goal is to see every person buy their phone and maximize its digital dividend. How? We want someone to buy a phone at 40,000 shillings, that, like the Honorable Minister stated, and make 4 million out of it. Yeah, a multiplier of probably 1,000. Same way, we want someone who buys that smart device, whether it's an iPhone, whichever it is, to make sure that they use it to better their lives at any time, but also by ensuring that they leverage the endless opportunities that come as a result of the huge numbers that we have in our communities. For instance, COMESA alone today has more than 630 million people as registered members and citizens of this community. So there is quite a lot for us to look out for, and we welcome and thank you all to partner with us and support the success execution of the Middle East and Africa Digital Transformation Summit happening from the 25th to the 27th of June 2025. Thank you. God bless you.
Thank you so much. Maybe before you go, you allow me to borrow
Nze Innocent Kaoya, nze senkulu wa Hi-Pipo. Hi-Pipo company yatandika okukola emirimu egya digital transformation ne financial inclusion emyaka 2 emabega. Era ebbanga lyonna tulimaze nga tuweereza Bannayuganda n'abantu mu Africa mu ngeri ez'enjawulo. Ebimu ku bintu bye twenyumirizaamu ennyo ebbanga lino lyonna kwe kulaba nti waliwo okukulaakulana naddala eri abavubuka n'abakyala mu kukozesa tekinologi, nga bangi bafunye emirimu. Okugeza omuntu yenna leero akozesa TikTok asobola okuwa obujulizi nti alina ebintu bingi bye yeegobako mu nsi, naddala ebyo bayita ebireetera stress, nti waliwo content ow'obwereere ag'osobola okufuna ng'ate mulungi, waliwo ow'okusoma, waliwo ow'eddwaliro, waliwo owa governance, waliwo n'ebintu ebirala bingi. Kyokka ate mu mbeera y'emu leero mu Uganda abangi ndowooza mulabe ku story ngeza Tengetenge, mulabe ku story ngeza Triplets Ghetto Kids, ne ba influencer be mumanyi boogoberera nga bonna bakuze mu ngeri mu biseera ebyedda eyambadde tekkirizibwa kubeera nga bafuna omukisa okubeera nga balabika oba talenti zaabwe ne girabika. Wabula leero mu Uganda tulina omwana ataweza myaka 16 nga ku channel y'emu ya YouTube alina views ezisuuka biliyoni 1. Kyokka tulina n'abalala bannabitone bangi n'abantu aba media abaweereza mu ngeri ez'enjawulo. Mu mbeera y'emu tufunyeemu kye bayita democratization eya okuweereza amawulire oba journalism, era omulembe guno gulese kye bayita mobile journalism, nti omuntu yenna gw'olaba leero kyakola bw'abanga ayagala okuweereza abantu naddala nga baweereza ebituufu, yeetaaga kufuna simu ye oba kamera eyenkananga zino zemulaba wano ezedda zetwakozesanga edda naddala aba cinematographer zabanga za kilo nga 8 oba kilo nga 2 era nga bw'omala okugisitula nodde waka olina okwebaka paka ssaawa 6 naye byonna byakyuka olwa mobile journalism ne devices eziriwo ate nga zirina affordable nti leero ennaku zino kisoboka omuntu yenna yenna okufuna smartphone ku mitwalo egitasuka 15 wabula nyina emboozi gyennyumiza eya mukwano gwange edda yabinganga aweereza munne ssente mutowe nga waba alina okumuweereza emitwalo 2 agenda n'agula airtime agent n'awa muganda we omutwalo gumu 14 wabula olwa digital transformation oba n'ebintu byetwogerako mu Middle East and Africa Digital Transformation Summit ebintu bingi nnyo bikyusiddwa aba champion aba innovation omuli zi fintech oba ze bayita financial technology companies omuli zi bank omuli mobile money operators n'abalala era nga leero tulina essuubi n'essanyu nti obulamu bw'abantu bangi bugenda kukyuka. Ekimu ku bye tusaba Katonda era bye tukolerera okulaba abo etuchampioninga kwe kulaba nti buli muntu yenna ateeka ssente ze oba azijje mu nnimiro oba azijje ku mulimu omulala gwakola n'afuna device ng'essimu nti agikolamu ebitundu ebitaka wansi wa 1000 nti wemba nagiguza emitwalo 4 essimu eyo okulaba nti ogifunyemu omugaso ekitono ennyo olina ogikolamu miliyoni 4. Yensonga lwaki olw'omulundi ogusoose tugenda kubeera nga Uganda hostinga Middle East and Africa Digital Transformation Summit era nga tulowooza nti kino kigenda kuyambako okutumbula ebyobulambuzi okutumbula ebya investment kubanga ensi nnyingi nga mu Middle East okugeza waliwo kye bayita Islamic banking. Leero Islamic banking nga industry eri worth trillions oba bakitatya mu Luganda obutabalika kati trillions 2.7 trillions Islamic in dollars nti Islamic banking sector emu yokka erina ssente ezo. Islamic banking engeri gyekolamu nti ebiseera ebisinga bawola ssente nga tebakusaba magoba oba nga bakusaba amagoba matono nnyo agatasuka percentage point emu. Ssente ezo ziri mu Middle East balina omukisa balina abantu batono nnyo mu nsi zaabwe so basobola okubeera nga ssente zaabwe bazireeta mu nsinga eza Africa okuimprovinga manufacturing okuteekawo emirimu egy'enjawulo. Kyetulowooza nti intervention ya Middle East and Africa Digital Transformation Summit y'emu ku ebyo ebintu ng'ogasseko n'ebirala byonna byonna gavumenti yaffe eya Uganda byekola Ministry of ICT and National Governance byekola ba partners baffe aba COMESA Business Council ne COMESA bebakola balenda gamba nti bakyali baffe aba Middle East nenerabira nenzijukira nti no tetulika mwocha awo nekyusaamu naye nti bonna bannaffe bye bakola okulaba nti tukwasaganya ekyokuyamba ku bantu okubawa skills ezibayamba okufuna emirimu egibabeezaawo nti n'olwekyo tulowooza nti mu myaka egitali kyawala abantu mwenna abali wano n'abatulaba bonna n'abawulira Oluganda bonna ng'abo basukka miliyoni 21 mu Uganda nti bogenda kutuuka ekiseera nga mwenna tewaliwo n'ogwena kusaba mulimu wabula ng'okozesa tekinologi oba mu nnimiro oba mu kisenge kyo oba gy'osomeseza oba gy'ojjanjabira muwuliddeko ku bintu nga bye bayita telemedicine era ndowooza mulabyeko ku solution nga ze bayita my doctor nga n'omusawo omukubira essimu ng'oli mu nnimiro ebisinga ebizibu byonna bikumalira mu bbanga eritali lyawala. Mwebale nnyo bassebo ne bannyabo Mukama abawe omukisa.